Hi everyone, I'm in Belfast and today I want to show you around an area called Holylands. It's actually more recently known as Holylands, but it is a part of South Inner City Belfast, quite close to the city centre, and is quite close to the Botanic Gardens and also the Queen's University. Now, as you can see, the River Lagan is on this side, beautiful River Lagan that provided much needed industry for the people of Belfast for generations. And of course we know about the Lagan Canal and that led to Lough Neagh, and that was supposed to be part of a national waterway system as well, which is vitally important. And also what's important is these beautiful cottages behind me, known as Southview cottages. Absolutely beautiful. And it's great and fantastic history. I just bring you for a walk through and show you a little bit about this area. Beautiful cottages. And this is a place known famously and locally as Horsey Hill. The condition was a famous location for horses to access water in the River Lagan and also to access upwards into places known as Harrow Street, which is known for ploughing also as well, if people would be familiar with that. But this is quite a steep embankment here. And the conditions been ran down because no investment, absolutely disgracefully, by the council and the authorities. But here we have a beautiful mural that was created by Daniele Valverde, I think, an Italian artist who's based here in Belfast, to depict the history of this area. As you look back down towards the River Lagan. As we get up this steep embankment, we can see all the houses around here. These are built for the working class back well over a century ago. I think it was started about 1890 by one estate agent and one developer. There we are, Harrow Street. Famous for the plough as well. And this estate was built for the working class, about just over 1 square kilometre. It's quite close to Queen's University, and has been famous probably in the last few years for the amount of parties that have taken place and a lot of other issues as well. But we've seen massive gentrification down south, and in particular here in the north. Two quite similar policies in terms of neoliberal policies. For years we've seen the militarisation of the landscape in Belfast, and this was initially built for, as I said, the working classes back well over a century ago. If you look back at the 1911 census, you can see so many people working as carpenters, ship labourers, and people involved in the linen industry as well. Not to mention, obviously, people involved in working along the rivers as well, which provided much needed industry for Belfast. Let me see another street, Palestine Street. This was named the Holy Land because of the visit by the developer and estate agent. Ray, I think, was one of the men's names, who developed this area, and this was the reason they called it after their pilgrimage and visit to the Holy Land. So a lot of streets are named in commemoration of Damascus, Cairo, and many more streets as well. We see Palestine Street here as well. But as I've said, we've seen gentrification happen apace, in particular over the past long number of years, south and north, and in particular this has been a drive towards using this community for students. But we've seen a long history in the north of policies that have served the interests of the ruling classes for years and years and years, and provided their outlets to keep people and communities apart because of sectarianism and more division in society rather than uniting people, which is vitally important, especially amongst ordinary working class people. But what's fundamentally very, very important with this is that we've seen, as I said, the drive towards many of the properties around here are in the hands of private landlords now. It's been essentially slum landlords who are charging absolutely extortionate rents for a lot of people to live in substandard accommodation. Now, in the last number of years, since the issues have been highlighted around the parties taking place and other issues taking place, we've seen an influx of private rented accommodation coming up at huge amount across the north, in particular around Belfast as well. Private equity funds are coming in and buying and involving themselves in student accommodation, profiting from it. And many universities such as Queen's and the University of Ulster, which is based now in the city centre, they've moved out from the outskirts into the city as well. And the majority of students now would be international, rich international students coming. In the north, 1 in 10 people that finish second level education get on to go to third level education, which is just outrageous when you consider the opportunities that aren't there for a lot of young people. We see poverty rates increasing, we see issues around homelessness increasing, issues around evictions increasing as well for ordinary people. And it's vitally important that people should stand together around campaigns for proper public housing. And it's critically important as well. We see extortionate rents. Rents have increased nearly 10% over the past year in Belfast. House prices are 6 to 7%. Now, people might say comparatively they are low compared to the Republic, which is true, but at the same time, if you consider what base people are coming from in terms of the recent ERSI survey, which said there was a 36%, disposable incomes are 36% higher in the south compared to the north as well. And in the contrast of that, that's very important to drive towards the neoliberal agenda, in particular up in Belfast, where we've seen for years, for instance, a Lagan-side corporation that developed and worked to provide long-term private capital to come in to profit from. And there's areas of Belfast which have been left to dereliction, vacancy and lack of investment. Particular areas, for instance, you've got a lot of working class areas that are completely left behind, and then you come into other areas of the city where it's basically being gentrified rapidly under the guise of regeneration. There we have a house for sale. That's currently in the market, I think £130,000, which is about 150,000, 160,000 euro. And then up the road you see an apartment or house to rent, and this is about £1,200. So as you can see, private landlords are making an absolute fortune up here, and rents are going to increase for ordinary people who will suffer. And again, as I said, with international students come in, and many students again are being put into substandard conditions, overcrowded conditions, attics. Some attics around this area we're going for like £900 as well. So you have rack rent and landlords, slum landlords, you have lack of enforcement, and you have government policies that have allowed this to continue through Stormont Executive. And coincidentally, the Northern Ireland Housing Executive, which is supposed to bring forward the end of sectarianism, the end of discrimination, for instance, around housing, and the move towards public homes, which was fantastic, but now it's been moved towards being privatised, which essentially is outsourcing of housing. And that was agreed by a Sinn Féin minister as well, looking towards creating a mutual or cooperative basis, again, which is looking at private capital to invest in public housing, which again is never a good idea, rather than having public homes for people. And also you can see here as well, issues around here in terms of the alley closings. There's £100,000 I think were spent on these alley gates all around here to prevent what they claim is antisocial behaviour, and issues around drug dealing and a lot of those other issues going on as well. So rather than address the underlying issues of inequality, poverty, exclusion, the answer is to shut areas off. And as well, areas aren't being maintained, they're being forgotten about, but this is part of the process of gentrification, which fundamentally will lead to more private investment and areas of bigger exclusion. And in a city, in a country as well, that has dealt with so much conflict over a long number of years, the intergenerational poverty is absolutely disgraceful to see. But that's why we're standing for an Ireland of equals. It's fundamentally so important that we start with a basic home as a social good, north and south, where you have a public housing body, make homes accessible to people and affordable, and build communities and build it from the ground up, where people have a say and a voice in what goes on. And we know in the north, same as the south, there is no voice given to people. In particular, we see in the south, for instance, with the push towards the Irish government and the European Union, and in particular over the last number of days, they've been waxing on about the commemoration of 1916, which I find absolutely just hypocritical and disgraceful, that these people have actually tried to claim what the visionaries of those who struggled and fought for an Ireland where the citizens of the nation are treated equally, have left to massive childhood poverty, childhood homelessness, evictions north and south, and areas being ran down, forgotten about, lack of investment, and at the sharpest end, people struggling to get by day to day. So a lot of issues happening, north and south, and be fully aware of them, because this is what the conversation should be coming to in terms of building a proud, strong country that puts the needs of the people first. I see these alleys closed off. You see a phone box over there, just absolutely disgraceful. But there should be investment in areas, should be a push to put the needs of the people first. So I hope you enjoyed that little walk through this area. Fantastic history, fantastic communities that were here as well for years and years and years, where children played, where people mixed, and people stood up around the issues that impacted them, got by with had dignity and got by with their day-to-day lives. Now we have so many other issues across the island of Ireland to address as well. So hope you enjoyed the walkthrough. As we just conclude, have a look at these lovely row of houses looking up the street of Holyland in South Belfast. So thanks for the support, and from Belfast, take care. Slán, talk to you all soon. Bye bye.